So a majority of them are logical. This is now to. To with itself clearly changes shape. So there is no, you cannot even recognize this is to with itself. And here you write it smaller than the next one to show it's a consonant cluster. To and mo together, like that. But fairly okay. Apart from that one thing that we have to remember, it's reasonably okay. Why am I saying okay or reasonably okay or less confusing is, if you see this when you're reading, chances are you will continue reading because it doesn't bother you. It's not a, you won't pause and say, I don't know what this is. So this is to, and then let's move on quickly. Do, just see. So we'll go keep going quicker. Do, fairly black. No. Again, each of these nasals in their own row with their own friends in the same row, they play tricks. But apart from that, they don't disturb the others. So as long as you can remember these, look at that. So try to remember this and try to look at gu, right? This one we saw, gu. And this one, wow, it looks very, very close. See? This is gu and this is ngo with do. Interesting. I like the way they give us these puzzles to solve, and then they'll tell you, but not many words are there, so why it's not a problem. But it's lovely to explore the script and explore and find out all of these wonderful aspects of the script. Moving on, to. Suddenly, out of nowhere, this holonto, this symbol appears. In Sanskrit, this is what you would have used in, say, I keep saying Sanskrit, it's Devanagari actually. In Devanagari script, chances are you will see this halant. So it's used for to, but to with itself looks very different. To with tho, shape changes. Tro looks like, does anyone recognize which vowel? See, oi. And that one, very close. And the A as well. So if you remember the A, this vowel A, and this thro, very, very similar. What's the difference? This line on top, that's the only difference. If you put the line on top, it's thro. If you don't put the line on top, it is a vowel. And this is a consonant cluster. Interesting, very, very interesting. Next, tho, clean, again, no confusion. Smaller and bigger, and then no problem. Do, although it's different, although I marked it in red, you can still see the other letters. Maybe here you'll have to look a bit closely to know this is do and bho, but otherwise fairly okay. Even though there are many red ones here. Dho, not bad. Not bad. This one was interesting. These two are same size almost, whereas in all previous letters you would have seen the bo smaller and below it, whereas here it is to the side and as big as dho. Maybe there's no word that has that, so it's okay. You might not look at that letter too often in the language, but we are exploring the script, not the language. I keep using the word language and script interchangeably sometimes, but here we are only exploring the script. Then, no. Not only does it have exceptions with its own row, to, do, no, even with to, tho, do, dho, it's different, right? It's fairly simple again to kind of see the pattern there. You just write no, and here for these you're writing it above and below. Here you're writing it next to each other. This is again above and below. This is side by side, joined together, joined together, joined together. And here, okay, that's not an exception. This is fine. Like that. So no, and with that we move that, and then we finished this row. These 4 rows are done. Let's look at this. Po. Fairly okay, but po and to, this to, so po followed by to as a consonant cluster becomes like this. You can still see the to, but here you go. Maybe this. So po and so, you still see the po here, you still see the so here. Dante sho. I say so, but it's dante sho. Okay, that's the story. Let's move on. Po. Again, not very confusing, not many exceptions. Is it because this is a po, a gho, a jho, dho, dho? Not many exceptions with all of those consonants. Bo. Okay, not bad. If you see it, would you read it? Yes, you would. Chances are you will read it. But here, interesting again, same size. When you double itself, this is bo doubling itself. Bo. And then let's move on. Bho. Bho is fairly okay, not bad. And then we have mo. And more shape changes. You just need to memorize some of these. They're logical. Put them in red, but still, it's small and big most of the time. So that's more. Then jo, straightforward. And when we go to ro, repolo, here what happens, it is different but simple. All you have to do is put that tick. So when you read it, you read ro first and then the ko, or ko, ro, ko, like that. Simple. It's read only because it doesn't look like this consonant. This is the ro, but then when you write this first, and if you have a consonant cluster, it looks like this. Only one rule to remember, not complicated. Let's move on. Lo. Some of them you have to look closely, but not bad. Lo and to, you can see. So what we've seen so far in Bengali is some of these letters are beside, next to each other, adjacent. Some of them are above and below. Some of them are same size. Some cases the first one is small and the second one is bigger. It's larger. So then, talbesho. Surprisingly, it's less confusing, right? Most of it you can read. Even sho, talbesho with itself. It's very logical, very simple. Probably because this part of the letter itself is small. So you see this itself, even when it's in its full form, it's written only half this part. So when you had to make it half, I don't think they would have had any confusion because they just retained it. So anyway, that's a theory. Let me know if that theory is right. I'm just saying what I'm observing based on exploring it. Then this is sho, dante sho. Dante sho. Let's do murdhana sho first. So if you do murdhana sho, this is very interesting. And if you look at this, the consonant you're talking about is this one. But here, we are looking at a shape that resembles Devanagari Sh in many ways. But if you look at this letter, it's almost as though this curve was reversed like this, and they put that line in between, and they have created this. Very interesting. Not sure why that was followed, but they followed it consistently everywhere. But here, it's gone back to how the Murdhana Sh looks. Very interesting in terms of identifying that pattern and why these two do not follow that pattern, whereas everything else follows it. Let me know. Then this is the Dante Sh. Again, small and big, not much. Can spend more time and understand. Ha. Ha. Ha with no really looks different. This is very different. It's the no which is, instead of being this way, has gone that way. It's become a mirror image. Very interesting. Why they would have done that? Is it because this curve is like this, and so from inside, if they drew it, it did not look good? Maybe that's why they put it out and changed the direction. Interesting. Ha with ma. It's really hard to look for the ha here, right? So it's hard to look for a ha, and a ma you can follow, but it's hard to see the ha. So that's why this is an exception. You have to memorize it almost. Those